Bobby the Goblin was a peasant goblin, not fit to stand in high goblin society. His job just involved taking the shoes off orcs and polishing them with his own blood so they wouldn't beat him into the ground. Bobby dreamed to be in goblin high society, wherein the fattest of the goblins would sit on their thrones of gold and laugh at the elves who they chained and made dance for their amusement. Bobby knew that one day his dream would come true and he wouldn't just have to cut himself to clean those damn orc shoes. Well, one day Bobby's big break came in when the goblin CIA knocked at his door. He opened the door and saw 3 goblins dressed in black suits and sunglasses standing before him. "Bobby the Goblin," the leader of the CIA said, "we need your help. You have skills that no one else does." Bobby looked at them shocked and said, What can I do? I'm a simple orc blood shoe polisher guy. I don't have any skills outside of cutting myself and bleeding everywhere." The CIA men looked at each other and said, "That's exactly it, Bobby. We need you to go to the kingdom of the dwarves and steal their dwarf shoes, and you, in your superior knowledge of shoes, are the most suited in our kingdom to do so." Bobby knew that this was his big shot in order to get in with the goblin matriarchy who ruled the society. I'll do it," Bobby said. "I'll get those shoes, and I'll bring them back, and then we'll have tea, and then I'll get to be a big shot." Bobby jumped up and down with excitement as the CIA men nodded. "You need to go tonight, Bobby. Those crafty dwarves and their ale and their big long beards that they tie together and do horrible, horrible things to goblins with. It's just, you need to hurry, Bobby." So Bobby set out that night. Bobby, with his ability to spray copious amounts of blood, simply glided to the dwarf kingdom. He used his blood as a means of skating on and got there within 13 days. So then Bobby was at the goblin kingdom, the dwarf kingdom, right? And then so he decided to infiltrate the dwarf guilds first. So the dwarf guild was guarded by 3 burly dwarves, each of which had a tattoo that said "Mom," and it made them look so tough that Bobby didn't know what he was going to do. So instead of going to the dwarf guild, he just went and had a drink at the dwarf pub. The dwarves looked at him, knowing that he was a goblin who didn't even bother to disguise himself in any way, even though goblins were outlawed in the dwarf kingdom. And one of them came over. "Aye, lad, what are you doing in the dwarf kingdom, you green little shorty mother little shorty fudgy?" Not speaking the dwarven dialect, Bobby simply kept drinking his drink. "Aye, that's a tough lad if I ever seen one. Look at him going and drinky drink, getting drunk. I like this little lad," the dwarf said as he picked him up. Bobby struggled, but the dwarf was at least 5 times his size, so there was little he could do. So the dwarf took him back to his house to meet his beautiful daughter. "Aye, this is Dwarfy, the beautiful daughter. Look at what a Dwarfy did." Bobby looked at the dwarf daughter, whose beard was even longer than her father's, and her armpit hair almost as long as her beard. He looked at her scared. He'd never seen such an attractive dwarf woman before, but he had to keep on his mission. "Aye, little dwarfy goblin, nooby dooby scooby," the dwarf maiden said, melting Bobby's heart. Bobby has torn between what he should do. Should he stay here and marry the beautiful dwarven maiden, or should he go fulfill his goal and become goblin high society? Well, that hardly mattered right now because the goblin CIA came in the door right then. "Ha, Bobby, we set you up. We only needed a scapegoat to start war with the dwarven kingdom." Bobby looked shocked. The dwarven maiden looked shocked, but the dwarven dad was drunk and passed out. "Now that you're here, we can finally say it was you who blew up the dwarf kingdom and start a war with the dwarves so we can mine their sweet, sweet oil." It was then that Bobby realized that the dwarven kingdom was a bunch of horrible terrorists and that he was actually part of the goblin kingdom, which was the real terrorist. So then Bobby pulled out his +7 claymore of slaying and said, "Bring it on, you goblin CIA. I never voted for you anyway." The goblin CIA pulled out their goblin machine and they cranked it harshly. As the crank cranked more and more, the goblins zapped Bobby with their mysterious green goblin goop. This instantly killed Bobby, ending his tale. It was then that the goblins had their plausible cause to invade the dwarf kingdom and did so with many casualties and decades of war.